The Bloomington Speedway turns 100 this year. Some of the world's best stock car drivers raced on this track, and for some locals, racing runs in the family. Ethan Sandwise has more.
Almost every kid grows up with a baseball glove or a basketball, but not many kids grow up with a race car in the garage. And so racing is something that's handed down in part because there's exposure to it.
In longtime Speedway announcer Pat Sullivan's words, Hoosiers are race crazy. For 100 years, Indiana's top stock car drivers have tested their mettle at the Bloomington Speedway. The track opened in 1923 as one of many rural Indiana courses unsanctioned by the American Automobile Association, collectively known by their dangerous reputation as Suicide Circuit.
Charlie Schwartz hooks the same tire in turn number 4 and does a mighty roll out of turn 4 down into the front straightaway.
Racers have competed continuously for the last century, except for several years in the 1940s when racing was banned during World War II. NASCAR's Jeff Gordon garnered early wins in Bloomington, but fans here prefer to celebrate NASCAR's Chase Briscoe and World of Outlaws champion Steve Kinser, local drivers who use the Speedway to propel themselves onto the national scene.
Some of the same families have raced there for generations and know each other. So, I mean, it's a unique and well-known racetrack across the nation at this point.
Yeah, my grandfather was a car owner. And then, of course, I started racing when I got out of high school. And then now Caleb would make the third generation.
Once fifth in the nation for modified racing, John DeMoss comes from one of Bloomington's stock car dynasties. He got behind the wheel of a go-kart at 5 and drove for the next 40 years.
Yeah, a lot of those are accumulated from wins of modified racing over the years. And a lot of them are from Bloomington Speedway, probably a majority of them.
As you can see, my dad's got quite a bit of accomplishments throughout his racing career, and he's done a lot in my eyes in the racing career, and if I could do half of that, that'd be pretty cool.
Caleb DeMoss grew up at the track, watching his father and uncle race at the Bloomington Speedway. Now a racer himself, he works together with John in the garage and competes with him on the track.
It's almost like a second job if I had to put it in a way.
With a race car, the work is really never done. There's always something to improve your car, or maybe it be work on the trailer, the rig, the shop.
Race fans, one more time, thank you so much for coming out and supporting Bloomington Speedway on this beautiful Friday night.
In the pit, teams furiously prep sprint cars and modifieds for this evening's race.
My wife and kids will be here in a minute, so it's kind of hard to block it all out, but I just try to stay as focused as I can at the task at hand.
Caleb's been very competitive, and he shows, a lot of spunk and a lot of potential for sure. And any day now, I think he could break through and win his first race. So maybe tonight will be the night.
You can sit there and fidget, just tighten your belts and the lineup shoot, but as soon as you go out there, it all just kind of goes away, and just you're focused on one thing, and that's winning.
Stock car racers take enormous financial and personal risks to compete. The DeMoss family spends tens of thousands of dollars a year on equipment, and if they don't win prize money, losses are difficult to recoup. Input costs are rising, and John says compared to when he started, there are fewer competitors, but steeper competition. Despite improved safety features like roll cages, racing remains dangerous.
I've never been injured, thankfully, but definitely destroyed, 4 or 5 race cars along the way.
A young Bloomington driver named Josh Burton died on the track in 2013, and another named Mike Waltz was killed in 1978. Fatal injuries are a rare but present threat in the United States Auto Club races. Drivers continue to accept those risks.
When Indiana Sprint Week happens in a couple of weeks, all I would tell anybody in town who thinks it's not a big deal is to drive down to Bloomington Speedway and look at that parking lot. But is it important to the city? Is it important to the culture? In me, it is. It's an iconic facility within a world.
Bloomington Speedway's signature quarter-mile red clay track is wet and heavy tonight. Drivers struggle to pass, and during one of his heats, John's car sustains body damage. He places 4th tonight. Caleb lands in 5th. But just as drivers have done here for 100 years, they'll be back on the track soon, racing for victory. For Indiana News Desk, I'm Ethan Sandweiss.